Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Pratiwi Bestari from Accounting Department of Andalas University 2016. In this occasion, I would like to take this opportunity to present to you about my thesis. The title of my thesis is The Analysis of Opinion Shopping, Solvency and Real Activities Manipulations as the Determinants of Going Concern Audit Opinion. Before we start, I would like to thank all of my lecturers and my thesis advisors, Ma'am Husna, Roza, for all their guidance from the beginning to the end until I could finish my thesis. I would like to thank my thesis examiner in advance. May my thesis get better after this, and I hope we are always in the best health in the situations. Then let's get started to the presentation. So this thesis of mine is divided into 5 chapters. The first one is introductions, the next one is literature review, the next one is research method, data analysis, and discussions. Also the last one is conclusions and recommendation. So this is what you will find at chapter 1, that is background, problem formulations, research objective, benefit of research, and writing systematical. Then let's get to the background. Financial statements' general purposes are to provide financial reporting information to a wide variety of users and provide the most useful information possible at least cost. So when stakeholders, either it is investors or creditors, etc., wants to make decisions regarding one company, the first thing that they will check is the financial statements. Why? Because since the financial statements basically show the exact information and conditions of the company at that period. Financial statement is prepared by the management, as you know, and to give the stakeholders more assurance to the fairness on the financial statements get audited. In Indonesia itself, the issues concerning audit reports and their relationship to going concern problems have emerged since 1995. The issues emerged with the collapse of Soma Bank, though the bank had been issued a clean audit report in the preceding year, and since 1997, with the economic crisis happened in Indonesia, going concern issues become important in Indonesia. If there is any uncertainty related to events or conditions that may cast doubt significantly to company sustainability, the company will receive going concern audit opinions. Even until the beginning of September 2019, there have been many firms that are listing from Indonesia Stock Exchange or IDX due to going concern issues. In the 2018 itself, the IDX decided to abolish the listing of the shares of PT Truba Alam Manunggal Engineering Tbk due to lack of going concern aspects. So that's PT Sekawan Inti Pratama and PT Gerhama Citra Wisata Tbk at 2019. The trading was eliminated by the IDX due to going concern problem as well. So we know how vital going concern problem in a company are. The fact is, even if the company financial statements are stated fairly and got unqualified opinion, it is still possible for them to have a problem that can lead to bankruptcy. In that case, the auditor will give the going concern audit opinion. So isn't that intriguing? I mean, even if the financial statements are stated fairly, the company still have the chance to go bankrupt. So because of that, in this thesis, we will talk about what will probably become the reasons behind the acceptance of going concern audit opinion by the company. So this is the problem statements. There are 4 problem statements. The first one is, does opinion shopping significantly affect the going concern opinion on firms in agriculture sectors? The second is, does the solvency significantly affect the going concern opinion on firms in agriculture sectors? And the third is, does the real activities manipulation significantly affect the going concern opinion on firms in agriculture sectors? And the fourth is, do the opinion shopping, solvency, and real activities manipulation simultaneously affect the going concern opinion on firms in agriculture sectors significantly? The next is research objective. The research objectives are also 4. The first one is to examine and obtain empirical evidence on the effect of opinion shopping on the going concern opinion on firms in agriculture sectors. The next next one is also to examine and obtain empirical evidence on the effect of the solvency on the going concern opinion on firms in agriculture sectors, the effect of the real activities manipulation on the going concern opinion on firms in agriculture sectors, and the effect of opinion shopping, solvency, and real activities manipulations simultaneously on the going concern opinion and firms in agricultural sectors. So this is benefits of the research. This research is hoped to be able to be useful for practitioners, academics, and stakeholders. So next we go to the second chapter, that is literature review. In literature review, there is a basic theory, and the theory that was used in this thesis is the agency theory. In agency relationship, one party acts on behalf of another. According to Astuti, an agency problem will appear when a conflict of interest occurs between principals and agent. In this case, the principals include the shareholders, whereas the agent is management. The shareholders want a decision resulting in high profits or the increase in the investment value, whereas the management wants an adequate compensation revenue of the work that the employees have done. Because of the difference in the desires, an independent third party is needed to mediate between the principals and agents, that is the auditors. An auditor is a party considered to be able to bridge the interests of principals and agents in managing the company's finance. The audit opinion given by the auditor can be a measurement for the principals to assess the agent's performance in managing the company business activities. The next is audit opinion. According to Pasaribu, audit opinion is a report given by the auditor stating that the examination has been carried out in accordance with the norms and rules accompanied by fairness opinion regarding the financial statements being examined. According to Tuan Akota, there are two forms of opinion. The first one is opinion without modifications. The auditors will submit opinion without modifications when the financial statements are prepared in all material aspects in accordance with the applicable financial report framework. The second one is the opinion with modifications. According to the ISA 705, modified opinion consists of three types. The first one is opinion reasonable with the exceptions. It is happen when there is a misstatement or auditors cannot obtain sufficient audit evidence, but the effect is not pervasive enough. The second one is opinion neutral. It is happen when auditor doesn't find sufficient evidence and there is misstatement and the effect on financial statements is pervasive. And the last one is the opinion doesn't express an opinion. The next is going concern opinion. The going concern audit opinion is a modification audit in which in the auditor's considerations there is a significant inability or uncertainty of the company's continuity in running their operations. So even if all of the financial statement is fairly stated, but if the auditors finds that there is an uncertainty that can lead to bankruptcy, the auditors will issue the going concern audit opinions, and the auditors will include a separate sections under the heading of material uncertainty related to going concerns in the audit report of the financial statements. The next is the opinion shopping. The opinion shopping itself is defined by the SEC as the activity of looking for the auditors who are willing to support the accounting treatment proposed by the management to achieve the company's reporting goals, even if it is cause the reports to be unreliable. So the next one is the solvency. According to the Pohan and Rahmawati, solvency is a ratio that shows whether the company meets the company long-term obligations or not. The higher the solvency ratio means the higher the risk of loss faced, but also the chance to get a big profit. Conversely, if the company has a low solvency ratios, certainly the risk of loss is lower. So in other words, the higher the solvency ratio means that the company has a bad financial conditions and could lead to the uncertainty regarding the sustainability ability of the company. The next one is the real activities manipulations. Real activities manipulations is defined as the management actions that deviate from the normal business practices, including opportunistically reducing the discretionary expenses, overproducing, offering price discount to boost current period sales, and strategic timing of asset sales. This real activities manipulation itself is one of the methods of earning management. Activities manipulation is done through operating cash flows, production costs, and discretionary costs. In this study itself, it will be more focused on the activities manipulations through cash flows. The statement of cash flows are one type of corporate financial statements that we need to examine because it has information that is no less important than income statement. In the statement of cash flow, there is a cash flow from operating activities consisting of activity company operations. The method of real activities manipulations through operating cash flow is sales manipulations, including by giving excessive discounts and concession credit sales payment due to increased sales. Because of that, in this test itself, it will be focused on the real activities manipulations on cash flows. What did real activities manipulation is put here because at 2014, Kim and Park argued that the auditors are more likely to resign when a client engaged in RAM to avoid excessive risk. But that will make the auditors become vulnerable to litigations. And for that reason, the auditors may issue going concern opinion instead, rather than simply resigning when the client engaged in aggressive RAM. And next is previous research. The first research to be a reference in this study was presented by Simamura and Hendarjatno in the study entitled The Effects of the Audit Client Tenure, Audit Lag, Opinion Shopping, Liquidity Ratio, and Leverage to the Going Concern Audit Opinion. The second one is an analysis of determinants of going concern audit opinions, evidence from Tehran Stock Exchange that was conducted by Garagaya, Jahanshat, and Adami at 2013. And the third one is research by Xu, Dao, and Wu at 2018 with the title The Effect of the Real Activities Manipulations on Going Concern Audit Opinions for Financially Distressed Company. With those previous research in mind, this study focused on three independent variables that is taken and combined from the previous research that I have said before that shows significant influence to the going concern audit opinions, namely opinion shopping, solvency, and real activities manipulations to the going concern audit opinion to test whether they would show the same result using the different sample from the previous research. The sample used in this research is the company from agriculture sectors listed on the stock exchange using the data from 2014 until 2018 because many previous studies examined the manufacturing company. So this is the research framework of this thesis. This is the research framework of this thesis. And there are 4 hypotheses for this thesis. The first one is opinion shopping significantly affect the going concern audit opinion. The second one is solvency significantly affect the going concern audit opinion. The third is ceteris paribus, RAM significantly affect going concern audit opinions. And the fourth is opinion shopping, solvency, and RAM simultaneously and significantly affect the going concern audit opinion. So that's the end of chapter 2 and we go to chapter 3. The chapter 3 itself is research method. In research method, there is a research approach. The study in this research applied an associative quantitative approach of causal relationship by conducting an experiment to the proposed hypothesis. And the type of research of this thesis is the quantitative research method based on the philosophy of positivism used to examine specific populations and samples. And the next one is population and sample. The population that will be the object of this research is the agriculture sectors that has been recorded and published the audit financial statements on the Indonesia Stock Exchange in the period of 2014 until 2018. Sample selection techniques that was used in this study is using purposive sampling technique. And because we use purposive sampling technique, there is certain criteria that must been met for the sample to be able to be tested in this thesis. There are three criteria. That is the first one, the agriculture sectors firms that have been listed in Indonesia Stock Exchange from 2014 to 2018. And the next is firms that issued the independent auditor's report and complete financial statements in a row from 2014 to 2018. And the last is agriculture sectors firms that presented the financial statements in rupiah. So this is the research variables. There are 4 research variables. The first one is opinion shopping as independent variable or X1. The next one is solvency as independent variable or X2. And the third is real activities manipulations as independent variable or X3. And the next is going concern audit opinion as dependent variable or Y. The next is data analysis and method. Hypothesis testing in this study used logistic regression analysis because in this study the dependent variable that is going concern audit opinion is a dummy variable. This study also used descriptive statistical analysis to provide a description of the data distributions in the study seen from the average value, standard deviations, highest value, and lowest value. So the test of the logistic regressions consists of overall model fit test, Husna-Lemaitre goodness of fit test, Nagar-Kerke R-square, and Omnibus Test, also hypothesis testing. So this is the statistic descriptive. In this table, you can see the number of observations, the number of minimum value, maximum value, mean, and standard deviations of every variables that exist in this thesis. The next is overall model test result or overall model fit test. The overall model fit test is used to assess the whole model by comparing the value of -2 log likelihood at the beginning or block number equals to 0 with the value of -2 log likelihood at the end, block number equals to 1. If there is a decrease in the value of -2 log likelihood, then it means that the regression model is good or the model that is being hypothesized fit with the data. And as you can see here, the number of block 1 that is the value of -2 log likelihood at the end is lower than the block 0. That is the value of the -2 log likelihood at the beginning. It means that the data in this hypothesis, model is very good, and the model that is being hypothesized fit with the data. Husna and Lemaitre test. If the statistical value of the Husna and Lemaitre test is greater than the 0.05, then the null hypothesis cannot be rejected, and it means that the model is able to predict the value of its observations, or it can be said that the model is acceptable because it matches the observational data. And as we can see here, the significant value is 0.386. It means that it is greater than 0.05, and it means that the model is able to predict the value of its observations, or it can be said that the model is acceptable because it matches with the data. The next is coefficients of the termination test or Nagelkerke R-square. The Nagelkerke R-square shows the value of 0.1, 2, and 6. This means that the variability of the dependent variable that can be explained by the independent variables in this study is 12.6%, and the remaining 87.4% can be explained by other independent variables outside this research model. It can be said that the variations of the independent variables in this study, namely opinion shopping, solvency, and RIM, can explain the variations of the dependent variables in this study that is going concern audit opinion as much as 12.6%. The next is Omnibus Test of model coefficients. The significant value of the Omnibus Test should be below 0.05 if you use 95% confidence level. If Omnibus Test with the number of independent variables of x produce a significance value lower than 0.005 means that there is a significant effect on x independent variables simultaneously affecting the dependent variables. Since the significance value of this test is 0.093, that is greater than 0.05, means that those three independent variables simultaneously is not significantly affecting the dependent variable that is going concern audit opinion. Next is the result. This is the hypothesis testing result. So this is the hypothesis testing result. You can see the significant value of each variables here. The x independent variables, if they are significantly affect the dependent variable, the amount of significant value should be below 0.05. But as you can see here, every variable's significant value is greater than the 0.05. Like you can see here, in opinion shopping, the significant value is 0.5, 3, and 8. So it means that hypothesis 1 is being rejected. And the second one is solvency. As you can see here, and the significant value, the amount is 0.1, 5, and 7. So it means that the hypothesis 2 is rejected too. And the next is RIM. RIM significant value is 0.134. So it also greater than 0.05. It means that the hypothesis 3 is being also rejected. So this is the equations of the regressions model. So you can see here that the ln going concern divided with 1 minus going concern equals to minus 1,450 plus 0.566 x1 minus 0.098 x2 minus 10.897 x3 plus error. So the result of the analysis can be explained as follows. That is a constant value of minus 1. So minus 1.450, which is a negative, means that if all of the independent variables, namely opinion shopping, solvency, and reactivities manipulations are considered constant, the going concern audit opinion will decrease by minus 1.450. And the next is the variable of x1, that is opinion shopping. You can see that the sign is positive. It means that the variable of opinion shopping has positive relationship with the going concerns, and with the others two variables, that is the solvency and reactivities manipulations, as you can see the sign is minus. So it means that the relationship between the variables of solvency and reactivities manipulations with the going concern audit opinion is negative relationship. So the next is chapter 5. Chapter 5, that is conclusions and recommendations. So the conclusions of this thesis is the study aims to determine the effect of opinion shopping, solvency, and the activities manipulations on going concern audit opinion. Based on the data that has been collected and the result of tests that have been carried out on the problem using the logistic regressions model, the following conclusions can be drawn. None of the independent variables that are opinion shopping, solvency, and RAM significantly affect the going concern audit opinion, whether it is separately or simultaneously, as you can see with the test that has been done before in chapter 4. And this is the limitations of this study. The first one is the study only used the agriculture sector's company list on Indonesia Stock Exchange as the research object. The second is the time span of this study is only 5 years, which is from 2014 to 2018. And the third is, in this study, the variables that were tested as the factors of the acceptance of going concern opinion in the companies were only opinion shopping, solvency, and the activities manipulation. So because of those limitations, so here comes the recommendations. The first thing is the further researches are suggested to increase the time span of the research. The second is the further researches are suggested to use companies other than agriculture sectors as research object. The next is the further researches are suggested to analyze, replace, and add to other factors that influence going concern audit opinions. And the fourth is the further researches are suggested to add moderations or intervening variables in future studies. So that's all of my presentations about my thesis. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.